speed. So I don't know what's up. Well, hopefully it holds together.
It's one of those days.
It is. Literally everything I do falls apart. Reach for a glass, knock it over instead. You know, it's just one of those days. Oh, well. Okay. Sorry. Anyway. We do have a couple of shout outs we can do here quick.
Questions as well.
Yeah. So Logos Fabula, great name, came in with a Shills Master membership. All right. It could be a renew. It could be a new one. YouTube isn't very good with communication. Ask any YouTuber and they'll tell you the same thing. But great to have you in the family. Very cool. And then Petra Olsen came in with 269 Swedish kroners with love to Ukraine. And we shall get that in the funding pot right away. Huge thanks, Petra. And then Niles Knudsen in the chat's gifting out Shills memberships. Huge thanks, Niles. That's a lot of membership action already in this stream. Thanks, everybody. And remember, we've also got, if I can get the page up properly, our Car for Ukraine fundraiser going right now. Slow start for us this time. What are you going to do? The link will be in the live chat. It's probably in the description. I'll double check. And I do believe I could drop it for you right now as well. So, yeah, I'm caught up.
Well, why don't we get caught up with the questions? Question from It Wasn't Me. Does anyone know if the 2 Shadow Fleet tankers hit by Ukraine were full or empty? Thank you all for being a great panel that you are, with a heart.
Thank you. Thank you. I did not hear anything on whether or not they were laden.
Nope, didn't hear anything either.
Neither
In
have I.
essence, it doesn't really matter because that's not the point. The tanker's job is to transport the fuel. Once it's hit, the fuel is not being delivered. So as far as I know, it was empty, but there was no any kind of report on whether they were empty or full.
It does matter from an environmental impact position. If it's full, that's a lot of oil being dumped into the Black Sea.
True. Well, I think it was Baltic Sea.
Oh, Baltic? Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Next question we have from S. Walsh Gummer. Nordost, it was narcotic mist that they pumped down the theater with. My question is, what's the status of 300 billion and what is the time frame to access and repatriate to Ukraine?
What? Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah.
It's about the 300, as I understand, of Russian frozen assets.
Oh, yeah.
And and I believe EU has started using it in some way. It was supposed to be used by end of summer. Otherwise, it would go back to Russia. But they did something, and they've started using the funds to help with paying for the weapons and stuff like that. But
yeah, with regards to seizure of the Russian funds and assets, it's caught up in a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. They're doing a lot to get that money freed up in order to use it to finance purchases of your equipment for Ukraine. But, you know, it's the Western legal system. What more can you say?
Yeah. You know,
the crazy thing is there was a deadline that EU would need to start using the funds. Otherwise, it would go to Russia. So it was a no-brainer, but they're still...
My recollection, it was end of October when that deadline was going to hit.
I thought it was end of summer. Okay, so it's still coming.
I don't know. I'm just... That's my recollection. I don't really keep track of the details on that stuff.
Yeah. I don't recall myself.
But of course, if it's the end of October, it's still better to do it during the summer.
Absolutely.
Don't drag it till the last second.
Well, the other problem is there's a narrowing window for the conduct of offensive operations right now, because once you hit the autumn rainy season, basically the front's going to freeze. Nobody can do anything because the conditions are really horrible. And that typically hits, late September, mid-October timeframe.
Mhm.
We have another question coming in from SSW Custom Sewing to Commander McMillan. It was Delriant that they use similar to Datura and Angel Dust, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the chemical they were using, but it was kind of along those lines. Let's put it this way: if people in the U.S. had access to it, it'd be one of the higher level illegal narcotics that people were trying to pay for. It's dangerous stuff, but yeah, it wipes your brain out basically.
That's so scary. I've never heard of such thing, and that sounds terrifying. I think hallucinating is terrifying on its own, but even
the situation was that they knew they had this, I'll call it munition, that did certain things, but they'd never used it operationally. They tested it on some people, criminals or whatever, but that's in a lab condition. They had no idea what massive amounts of it were going to do if they dumped it into like a theater that had both hostiles and hostages in it. And when they did deploy it, massive number of civilian hostage casualties, because they had no idea how this thing was really going to work, and particularly on older people or children who were in the audience.
Crazy.
Yeah. But again, in the Russian FSB mindset, they're just statistics. Who cares? We got the thing done, which was to eliminate the terrorists.
Yeah. Wow.
We killed twice as many innocent civilians doing so. Who cares? They're just meat for the meat grinder.
Terrorists killed much less civilians than the actual liberators, than the good guys.
Wow, that's so
it's not funny.
Yeah, that's so.
But it's up to Russians to kind of call that out. What Russians did after this is they voted for Putin again.
But I mean, it goes way back. I mean, Stalin is famously quoted as saying, "One death is a tragedy. A million deaths are just a statistic." And that's
Great
the way
quote.
they think. Yeah.
Wow. Unbelievable.
We have question from King Raccoon. Do you think both Bolton and Kellogg almost calling Trump out today is the turning, or just making it easier for Trump to turn?
What is almost calling out Trump? What is that?
There's
almost giving birth.
There are people in Congress who are criticizing some of the administration's actions recently. And I think a lot of it is, I don't know the specific one, but I suspect that they're talking about criticism of the deal that was being arranged to silence Jimmy Kimmel, I think, on late night TV.
Yeah, that's a big one right now.
Yeah, he's fired in order to let a merger go through to consolidate media holdings under one rule, basically.
Yeah, it's those two companies doing a merger, and they own a good majority of the affiliate stations, and that's where the back
something like 80% of all broadcast TV and radio stations will be controlled by one entity in this country.
Yeah. And you know, when the FCC,
we're getting our own propaganda ministry, basically.
Oh yeah, man, and it's all on cash. It's
oh yeah,
you know,
and I think they're being called out on it because even the right wing GOP side are seeing the dangers inherent in this decision, and they're starting to say, "Hey, this isn't right. You can't let this happen." And the more protest that comes out from Congress, the more pressure there's going to be from the administration to shut that down and push these things through faster.
Yeah. I mean, there was some popular angry blonde chick, a hard right media personality podcaster who was flipping out and swearing and stuff over this silencing Kimmel. She's like, we're the Republicans. We don't do this. She was flipping mad.
Yeah, also cancel culture. I thought they don't do cancel culture, and all of a sudden,
Yeah,
he's canceled. The whole thing, he didn't say anything that bad. It wasn't.
It is. The one thing that authoritarians have no counter to is humor.
yeah.
So when you get the likes of Fallon or Kimmel or Colbert, who are constantly in their late night TV things just lampooning the administration for all they're worth, it makes the administration look foolish and weak. And there's nothing they can do to stop that except silence these people.
Yeah. Which then makes them look cowardly and yeah.
Right. But even the other side in their own party are seeing the danger in doing this, because the next thing will be, night of the long knives of, well, that guy isn't saying that Trump is, a divine being. He disappears.
Yeah.
And that's where we're headed with this eventually, if it goes to its logical extreme.
Absolutely.
It's free speech for me, but not for thee.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good guideline in a free society to not trust anything that doesn't have a sense of humor. Anything that cannot laugh at itself or take a joke should be cautiously approached and denied.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, why MAGA is so shocked over Jimmy Kimmel is that he slightly suggested, he didn't even say it, that the murderer of Charlie Kirk, it is one of them. That's how he said it. He could be one of them.
Yeah. Well, he said the MAGA guys are running around trying to say he's anything but one of them. And in saying that, you can see how somebody could say, oh, you're insinuating he's MAGA. But I think he was just really making fun of MAGA for saying, no, he's a radical left. Before anybody knew anything, they were already saying he was, and I truly don't believe Jimmy meant to say he was MAGA. I think he was just pointing out the panic that MAGA instantly fell into over this to make sure, no, right?
Especially before he wrote, like, just as any human being, he wrote a message on Twitter, and it was, condolences, and I feel for they're trying to make Jimmy Kimmel pay Charlie Kirk's wife now.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's some absurd amount. It's like $300 million or something. Get real.
That'll go in the bin as fast as his $15 billion suit against the Times did.
Yeah. But these guys, like these late night guys, the comedians, network TV is dead. And I know they'll get their, powers together, the Hollywood, powers, and do something very big to fire back.
Well, I think what's hilarious is when they did the one where, okay, Colbert's going away, but not for, what was it, 8 months or something. That removed all the shackles. Colbert can now do whatever he wants because there's nothing they can do to stop him.
Yeah.
And he's gotten borderline vicious in his attacks now.
Oh, yeah.
For the rest of them, the Trump administration is now threatening these programs to take away their license to be able to show it on network TV.
Yeah, that crappy that little thing he said when he was on the plane, Air Force One. There, they only say bad things about me, so we should just take their licenses away. What?
Which is a reason that the right-wing side is starting to wake up to the danger this causes.
Yeah,
Because if the precedent is set by the president doing this, once you get a liberal in there, he can use the same tactic and shut down Fox News, Breitbart, you name it. All
exactly.
No, we're shutting them down.
Yeah. Let me jump in with a couple of shout outs here. I want to make sure we're caught up because I can't remember where I led off. I think with we'll do it again to make sure. But Niles Knudsen sent in 10 shills membership, so that's worth a second shout out if it is. I think I did it, but and then David N comes in with a cool message. It's happy Sunday, everybody. Well, I hope it is happy for everybody, or as happy as it can be. And then Yvonne Way came in with a lovely one. Slava Ukraine. Heroam Slava. Very good shouts, guys. And then I get to do a really big one because Stephen Walsh came in with $130 direct donation. Love you guys. Slava Ukraine. Oh, that was huge, Steve. Wow, I can still feel the gravitational waves of that one hitting. Everybody at LIGO is feeling that one. Huge thanks, man. We'll get that into the Car for Ukraine fund. That's a good place for that one to go. I'm caught up.
All right.
All right. And I just want to say thanks to people who are chipping in to buy that vehicle for Ukraine. Of course, we discuss how Ukraine is doing great on the battlefield and striking Russia all over. But Ukraine is doing all this with very, very limited resources. And this one car is going to have a huge impact on the battlefield for Ukraine. Ukraine needs every car that we can send, every drone, every scope, anything we can send them, they put it to use because they are fighting against a much bigger force with very, very little, and they have to be effective with whatever they can get. This car is going to have a huge, huge impact on the battlefield.
Oh, yeah. Let me, in the background, I'll set up a little video so you can really see them in action here. Hold on. I forgot to have it ready. Yeah. Yeah, it'll take me a second here. I'll scroll through and find it. Let's see here. Okay, time-wise, we're still pretty good. Good. I've got to organize this stuff better. I can never find what I'm looking for. Sometimes I forget to name them, and WhatsApp does that thing. Oh, WhatsApp video, WhatsApp picture. Why can't you just leave it what it was titled when the person sent it to me? I don't need your name in it. It just makes me hate you more,
Technology.
Yeah, just get out of my way. It's going to take me a minute, I think. Oh, what's this one? No. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, we'll move on. Oh, here. I got one. Oh, yeah, right. Okay. Here. Almost. I want to make sure everybody can hear it. Here you go.
Дякуємо Car for Ukraine та Бандеромобіль за організацію збору та підготовку авто. Дякую спільнотам The Shields, а також ATP Geopolitics за підтримку у зборах і самому Діку та Джонатану за активну підтримку. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Героям слава!
За рідну неньку! Постріл! Постріл! Постріл!
Very nice.
That's why we
Your own
fundraise.
homemade Katusha to make friends.
Damn right, man.
Let's finance, let's fundraise, let's chip in, guys, whatever you can. Every little thing helps. And you can see Ukrainians are doing so much with so little. This is going to go a long, long way. By the way, Dick, he mentioned the shills. He mentioned you by name over there. He said, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Ukrainians are always very thankful. That's why it was ridiculous when,
That's
remember
fucking
when
shit in the Oval Office. Yep.
the shit in the Oval Office. Thank you. Exactly what I'm talking about. When they were trying, because Russia keeps repeating it,
Yeah.
Russia doesn't care. They say, Ukrainians never thank you. You always send everything. Did you hear thanks from Ukraine? Never, never.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, Zelensky went on record, like officially, like almost 80 something times, like over 80 times, just officially thanking like European partners, American people, American nation, specifically like politicians, Biden, anyone who was involved. Zelensky would thank. Even on that day, when they were blaming Zelensky that he never said thanks, he was recorded saying thank you to American people on that day.
Yeah.
That's how crazy Russian propaganda is. And that's how crazy it is to hear from our top politicians, top officials in just spewing Russian propaganda unchecked. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Something
By the
that
way,
doesn't get said often enough. This is, to some extent, a unique situation in the history of war where donations from individual people
Yeah.
are a major factor in helping finance one side staying into the conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge if you think about it.
It's a whole new way of doing things.
Yeah, and the Russians, that the best they can come up with is they never say thank you.
Yeah,
Which we know
exactly.
is BS, but because there's no counter to it. I mean, how many people do you know of that have contributed to the Russian side of the war
Exactly. And that
from
whole
anywhere?
And that whole thing with thank yous, if you've ever watched a Ukraine fundraising support channel, you've seen video after video after video of the soldiers doing thank you things. They're in the fight of their lives, and they're taking a moment to do a video thanks and stuff because it's that important to them to make sure it's said and done. It's obvious.
Yeah, and there's also videos of them apologizing for not recording a thank you because they were shelled by Russia. Their Starlink was out, and they said, "So sorry, we did not." Because Ukrainians feel apologetic. They think we should thank you. You spend your money. You donate. It creates huge impact on the battlefield. And why shouldn't we think Ukrainians feel like we have to thank you? And there's videos of apologizing. Oh, we're so sorry. We were shelled. We didn't have connection. We didn't have internet. Sorry, we couldn't record a thank you yesterday, but we're recording it today. There's those videos as well.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest lie.
Yeah, that's a huge one. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Seems my computer calmed down. In the background, I was worried the stream was going to crash for a minute there. It was going absolutely crazy. It's just one of those days. Everything I touch turns to coal.
Don't say that. I was thinking about you yesterday when I messed up my sound for the stream that we did with Yorochenko, with Slavi, and I was thinking about you, and I'm like, we should hire Dick to do all this for us. But it was such my fault.
Yeah. Well, anytime if there's an issue, get a hold of me just to, help and clarify anytime. I don't mind, I'm
just
always
a whine.
Yeah.
Can we just call you on whine and complain?
That's another service. No, please pick one I already have.
Can we call and cry?
Yeah. You can cry after. Ask before, but cry after. That's fair. That's fair.
Can we call and tell you that we're sad?
Oh no,
Bobby. Any next topic we can move to?
Yeah.
Before we There's quite a bit, but before we do that, I want to shout out a couple of super chats. Thank you so much to Papa Dutch saying it isn't over until Ukraine wins. You're correct. Thank you so much for your support. And Papa Dutch sent 10 Slavi gift membership.
Yeah.
I have something, a cool
thank you.
video for you guys, a really cool thank you video coming up. And then S. Walsh Gummer coming in with a $50 super chat. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
It's
Saying,
got to be Steven. Oh, yeah.
thanks, Slavi. Keep up the great work and for your channel, content, and virtue. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Big round of applause for everybody for donating and chipping in. Way to go, everybody. All right.
And then we have one more, sorry,
No.
from Papa Dutch for some cheese with Johnny's wine.
What a great joke. See, that's what I'm saying. Our audiences are the best. They're funny, they're witty.
What do you guys think? Should I change his name to Cheddar in the video chat service for when he's talking?
Not quite yet. I'm not whining that much yet. Give me a chance to spread my whining wings.
Yeah.
Before we do that.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Russian airspace violations that spiked tensions with NATO. That's the big story for the last couple of days. But to give you some context, drones, 19 incursions into Poland, 2 downed by jets on, this was September 10th to 14th, 11 total in Romania, September 15th, 2 Russian jets violated security zone of Polish Metra Baltic oil platform in the Baltic Sea as well. And then 3 MiGs 31s violated Estonian airspace for 12 minutes over Gulf of Finland. And the 5th violation of Estonian airspace in 2025. And it was intercepted by Italian F-35s. And
invited to depart.
Yeah.
And Swedish-Finnish jets as well. I'm guessing it's the Gripens.
Yeah, Saab Griffins, probably.
Yeah. So also NATO's response was Poland activates Article 4 on September 10th, and first time this week after drone incursions, and then deploys 40,000 troops near Belarus, Estonia, and Poland drills. And then there's a new Eastern Sentry and adds France, Denmark, and Germany and UK gear to the eastern flank. Estonia invokes Article 4 as well on September 19th, and that's the second time this week. Boy, Russia is sure poking that bear, that NATO bear.
Now, the thing that's interesting is the Article 4 discussions have yielded a plan to put in place what they call a drone wall around NATO's border adjoining Russia, Belarus. The trouble is, it's going to take them roughly a year to get that in place. The drone wall is not a physical, Trump builds on the Mexican border. This one may actually be somewhat effective, but it's mostly early warning, jamming devices, and backed up in certain sectors, critical areas, with air defenses that can shoot down things that intrude. But as I said, it's going to take a full year, probably more, if we're honest with timelines, to get that thing in position.
Wow.
In the effort of building this war, they contacted Ukraine because Ukraine is doing all the innovation in this field. The Ukrainian Sting drones that are shooting up into the air once it flies over, and they're changing direction and pursuing and killing that drone. Only Ukraine has that technology right now.
Interceptor drones.
Yeah. So Ukraine, so that's good. That's good for Ukraine. That's good for the end of this war. That's bad for Russia. That's what the Article 4 after the Polish thing. But we don't even know what happened, or did the Article 4 discussions happen after Estonian thing? Because that's the second time in 2 weeks.
Estonia invoked Article 4. We don't know what has come out of that yet. Article 4 is not Article 5. Let's be very clear on that. Article 4 is, there's a problem. We all need to get together and talk about it, what we're going to do. Article 5 is, oh shit, we're at war. We need help.
Right.
So
yeah,
we haven't transitioned from 4 to 5 yet, thank God. The key here is that the Article 4 takes time to produce results, because it is, as I said, it's a discussion. And NATO is not an authoritarian top-down, one boss at the top says, you do this and this and this and this and this. Everybody has to sit down and come to a consensus on what they want to do to solve a problem. So the 19 drones that, across the Polish border, which caused the first invocation of Article 4, that's yielded this concept of we're going to put up this anti-drone wall. So again, it produced a result, but it's going to take a year for that to get into effect. Whether or not the thing with the violation of Estonian airspace by Russian MiGs is going to yield something, I don't know. The reason I say it's may or may not is because you'll notice that the NATO response was already kind of effective. They did intercept the MiGs. They did escort them out of Ukrainian airspace. So NATO already has in place a semi-effective way for dealing with aircraft incursions. But it's still going to require them to probably come up with, okay, we need more aircraft in the area. We need more flying alert status interceptions, so they don't have to take off and scramble to go intercept the aircraft. They're already in the air, so the intercept time is reduced from 10 minutes down to 2 or 3 minutes, kind of thing. That's probably what's going to come out of this most recent Article 4 invocation.
There's a question for you from Yuri.
Sure.
And how long before NATO actually acts on any air threat from Russia?
What do you mean by it acts on? I would contend, since we're not at war, what they did, which was intercept Russian MiGs and escort them out of Estonian airspace. They did the same with reacting to the drones that crossed into Polish airspace. They are doing something. Everybody is terrified of crossing that demarcation line between dealing with it from a perspective of we are currently at peace and don't want to transition to war, to the we actively want to go to war with Russia and we're going to provoke them just as much as they're provoking us to cause an incident where we get into World War III. I don't think any sane mind wants us to get to that point, unfortunately for Ukraine.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yes, Ukraine would love it if NATO got actively involved. But crossing into that line of, or that new realm, is fraught with peril that you can't imagine.
Well, they are talking about this, about coordinating attacks, or sorry, taking down Russian drones and missiles over Ukraine. So closing the sky, finally, a 4th year of war. And finally closing the sky with NATO, I guess.
Right. I mean, I've been saying I thought that was the thing that should have been done, since like 2 days into the whole special military operation, is that NATO should say, okay, well, we're putting in place a no-fly zone over Ukraine.
Yeah.
But everybody's been going, no, we don't want to do that because it must piss off the Russians and then we're at war. Okay, I understand that. But still, as we've seen, the Russians are getting bolder and more aggressive about poking, I won't say the bear because the Russians are the bear.
Yeah.
No, they're
Poking
not.
Yeah.
They're
Poking
not
is
the bear.
freaking out. No, they're a bear. They're just a starved, old, kind of mentally befuddled bear.
You know how Russia steals everything Ukrainian and then pretends that it's theirs?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? And if you don't know, I'll answer it for you. Do you know
Sure.
what the national animal of Ukraine is?
Honey badger.
No.
Could be. It's probably the bear. I don't know.
I gave, yeah, exactly. I gave you the answer in the question. It's a Ukrainian bear. So it's been our national animal for the longest time, before Russia existed, before Russia took and started calling themselves a
Yeah,
bear.
but your bear is mentally competent, has actually eaten in the past decade.
Doesn't shit in
is
his own
lying in his
backyard.
own filth.
We got Don Drone in the chat providing a little entertainment for everybody with his obvious knowledge of all things the world. It's impressive to see how wrong somebody can be every time their fingers touch that keyboard. But we've got
about me.
but we've got our little troll snail, and I think I'll just bring him out for the moment. Oh, he's coming for that live chat. Oh, he's coming. He's coming across. He's gonna do it.
This is a troll snail.
Oh,
Troll snail. Oh
yeah,
my God.
he got you, Don. He got you. Oh,
Right
that's
into
not,
Commander
yeah.
Macmillan.
Yeah. I got to do a thing where all the hexagons raise up so he's actually hitting the chat properly, right? I got to fix that, you know?
We lift the hems of our skirts so we don't
Is Commander Macmillan Scottish?
yeah, technically.
There we go.
Like
it's called a
3
kilt.
generations, 2 generations removed.
It's not a skirt, sir.
Well,
I have a newfound appreciation for Scots, because I watched a show on them, and their history is very much like Ukrainian history. They're very much like Cossacks, and yeah, it's I love the show, and it's my newfound kind of obsession is to learn their history and draw some parallels there in between.
I don't know about Scots, but I know that Irish people descended from the northern shores of Black Sea, which is Ukraine. So somewhere in those regions, a lot of kind of Ukrainian heritage is kind of traveled to those parts of the world.
Mm.
All right. Well, we have a lot of questions coming in, so why don't we get through them?
Sure.
Question for the panel: how has the power situation in Ukraine been lately? I haven't heard much. Hoping to get good news on that. This is from Kristen McCall.
Could you repeat?
The power situation of the power. Honestly, I haven't heard from my relative complain about it, but they usually, Russia starts attacking the Ukraine's power grids in winter. So something that's going to start.
They'll shift from hitting apartment buildings to hitting electrical transmission stations probably sometime in mid to late October.
And, you know, the way that works is the more Ukraine is hitting those stockpiles, the more Ukraine is winning on the battlefront, the less resources and the less possibility Russia has to hit Ukraine. So that's why we've heard less and less of those atrocious strikes on Ukrainian power structure lately, just because Russia has less to spare. So that's some good news, I guess.
Next question from King Raccoon. Will Trump turn on Russia?
Trying to predict what Trump does from 1 minute to the next is near impossible. speculating what he's going to do tomorrow or next week
Yeah.
Doesn't
ain't going to
know.
work. And I'm making a joke of it, but it's really true. I think his mental state has deteriorated so that he really has no concept of what he's saying at one moment to the next.
It seems it.
But he has his handlers and his staff so scared of him that they're unwilling to intervene and correct him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he says he may start a sentence, Russia is a vile country doing things. Say hi to Vladimir Putin. I always miss Russia. It was a great place, whatever.
Yeah.
He starts
Exactly.
one way, reverts it
And
by
he
the end
sees
of the sentence.
no problem with saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
And his handlers are like, oh, he just said the greatest thing ever. He tied those two concepts together cohesively, and then he goes and says, I heard the professor of English told me I tied the English language like no one else in history, the way I do words. I have the best words, the biggest words. I do have a
I had up in Gordian knots like no one else.
some history for you guys.
Yeah.
I have a quote from Trump from this week, and I think it's kind of cool because he actually does say the right thing here. Trump said, I'm ready to impose tough sanctions on Russia the moment all NATO countries do the same. And when all NATO members stop buying Russian oil, NATO countries must impose tariffs on Chinese goods ranging from 50 to 100%. According to Trump, these measures would undermine China's influence over Russia. He said the purchase of Russian oil by some has been shocking. It greatly weakens your negotiating position and bargaining power over Russia. And a day later, Ukrainian President Zelensky also made a demand of European nations over the purchase of Russian oil and gas. And in the interview to ABC News, he said, we have to stop buying any kind of energy from Russia. Any deals with Russia have to be stopped. We can't have deals if we want to stop Russia. So in a way, Trump does say the right things here and there. I kind of agree with what he's saying. You have to stop buying oil. We've been saying it since the beginning of the war. You're financing the war. You're financing Ukrainian genocide. So yeah, let's hope that comes to fruition.
We did have deals being made between Ukraine and United States. So Trump administration this week, huge ones.
Oh.
In the words of Trump, huge. 2.2 billion Pearl package approved. So it's European funded US arms, and it includes anti-drone missiles, and this is the first under the new initiative. So that's 2.2 billion.
Yeah.
Also, this is another very cool thing. US supplies 33,000 AI-controlled drones by year end, and they'll be able to upgrade. Ukraine will be able to upgrade them to swarm tech. So this tech it's battle tested like in Ukraine, but so far there hasn't been tech like that, at least not in the West. And so a Ukrainian company created this tech that's able to, one person can control like 1,000 drones. Before it was one person per.
That's
it's
incredible.
impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you know how the story ends is by 1 million drones lifting up and going into the Kremlin. So now we have the tech to do it.
Yeah.
So Bavovna time.
Yeah, that
The Kremlin is a historical cultural site, so technically you don't want to be attacking it.
Oh yeah, okay. But
I'm sorry, I'm playing my ROE game here.
yeah. Well, I'm no historian, so oops.
It's a
Commander
beautiful
Macmillan,
picture, though,
would you rather? I have a question, Commander Macmillan. Would you rather have $1,000 or watch Kremlin burn?
Hell, I'll go in debt $1,000
if
to
we're
see
talking on
that.
a personal level or from a professional level.
Personal. No, we already know the answer. You don't have to answer that.
Well, we have a lot of questions, so why don't we get to that? A question from Tim Moments. Did they saw Trump's speech at the table with UK King, great writers, and Trump reference Orwell? He probably does not even know 1984. No, I don't think so.
He may think Orwell is a fast food franchise or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Here, just before we switch the script and everything here, AI Alchemist did up this little gag for us the other day. You guys got to see this here. Let me make sure the audio comes through for you.
You will respect and fear me. I am the supreme leader.
Amazing.
My Depends are leaking. I better go back.
Okay, questions then.
Right. Next question from M. Dow. The Rushkins entering Estonia. Do you think they know cars come from Estonia? Thank you. This is from M. Dow.
Cars come from Estonia?
Yes, that's it. The Rushkins entering Estonia. Do you think they know cars come from Estonia?
Yeah, isn't there somebody that sells vehicles in Russia that they're actually like
made in Estonia?
Yeah.
Oh, Lada.
The Lada? Okay.
I don't think Lada. Not Lada. Maybe Mercedes, maybe Volvo, maybe something like that.
Probably something that's a semi-quality vehicle as opposed to a Lada.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Next question to Commander Macmillan from S. Walsh Comer. There's that famous Lenin quote, probe with bayonets. If you encounter moosh, proceed. If you encounter steel, withdraw. Give me a break. When are we going to steel up?
Yeah, I can't disagree with you, but it's politics, and politicians are
adverse to escalation.
A larger world than you are with that statement. I'm not criticizing. I agree with you 100%.
Same.
But there are political costs to stealing up, and politicians, let's be honest, like anybody, they're more concerned with getting reelected or protecting their own jobs than they are about the larger picture.
Yeah. Yeah, the reference to cars is nato, Estonia. Now I get it. Their bases, basically nato comes out of Estonia, except,
okay,
that's
gotcha.
what the reference was. Now I understand. Yeah. Okay, I'm surprised I didn't put that together, actually,
Look, a plane.
Yeah. It's a bird. It's a No, that was a bird. Okay.
Yeah.
I am seeing right now that Ukraine has been asking for motorbikes. They're saying they're much, at this point, they're much more effective.
Huh.
Yeah, smaller target for a drone. But Ukraine, it depends. On some parts of the front, you need motorbikes. On some, you need cars. On some, you need armored vehicles. It just depends on the situation. The battlefield is very diverse, and the reaction is like minute by minute.
Yeah.
And it changes all the time.
How come nobody's using segways at the front?
By the way, I read that they are being used at the front. So again,
no, don't tell me that.
100%. I read, and I've seen the photos. I've seen photos.
I want to see Paul Bart Malcott with an M16.
All right. Well, next question from Liam Wakefield. How does Putin have spare troops when he can't get the job done in Ukraine with what he has there?
Yeah, with the
He's got
whole
manpower. He's got man. That's the thing that Putin does have is manpower.
and stupidity.
Exactly. That's the only, like, you're never going to have shortage of manpower. You're never going to overcome or win Russia on manpower. There's an endless stream of volunteers. Russia buys them with money. They offer them very good contracts. And they understand that these people will die like in the first week or so. So they don't actually pay them money. They do a sign-up bonus. So their wives and mothers, we've seen those videos. They actually pressure their husbands and sons, go to war.
So they can get a
Side to
ham.
that, there's a flip side to that, which we've commented on before, which is that the sign-up bonuses are so high that people who are working in war industry factories and such are departing to go to the front because they make more than twice as much if they go to the front. So the factories are having to cut shifts when they're supposed to be running, 3 shifts, 24-hour production. They're down to the point where they can barely meet the shift requirements for manpower for a single shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
But, by the way, speaking adjacently on that topic, we do have an anniversary this week. Ukraine killed 1,100,000 of those never-ending Ruskies running across the battlefield. Yeah, we just crossed 1,100,000 last night.
Wow.
Impressive.
Big number.
I don't like celebrating deaths, but this is really a statistic, as Stalin would say. So it doesn't matter.
That's right. Yeah. I'm not seeing 1,100,000 people. I just enjoy the numbers.
Commander Macmillan, if I give you $1,000 or no, I'm
I've done that one before. You're not tricking me twice.
How wealthy are you?
I don't have $1,000 because I know what Commander Macmillan is gonna say. It's a safe bet.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of super chats coming in that goes with the conversation. But first one from SSW saying West Coast is best coast. I agree. Support Ukraine. Yes, please do. Next one's from Papa Dutch. Either Russian aircraft are so bad now that their entire avionics suite is non-mission capable, or their pilots so untrained they don't know how to turn them. I don't buy either.
I think what's happened is that the Russians have kind of realized that employing aircraft on the front lines is far too costly, so they're not doing that much more anymore. And so the aircraft are kind of being saved and reserved, or being used as missile launch platforms from far enough away that they're not in danger of being taken down by a Patriot or whatever. So they have enough in reserve, so to speak, that if it came to a conflict with NATO, they'd be able to put up some opposition for a while. But I think the statement is correct that the avionics are deteriorating because the technicians and the spare parts they need to keep the aircraft at prime efficiency aren't there anymore. The pilots aren't getting a lot of training time, etc. So yeah, it all adds up.
Next is Papa Dutch saying, my guess is 3 of their hotshots tried to sneak through when too lazy to file a flight plan. Yeah. And then a better question from Papa Dutch as well. Thank you. Will Russia turn Trump off?
They have a remote control and they can just turn the bot off.
God, I wish that were true.
Oh, yeah.
I would say the compromise that they have on him, possibly the Epstein files, is
Yeah.
No, no, we're not allowed to talk about those anymore. Talk about something else,
right.
mergers of large media organizations. That's far more important. Yeah. No,
We don't want to get canceled, okay?
Oh no, I'm serious. I think that's what's going on is they're looking desperately for anything to distract the public from the Epstein situation. Still, even though it's kind of sunk out of sight and then it's a page 2 item, they're still scared to death of what'll happen if that comes out.
Yep. It's hilarious how they literally campaigned on getting those files released, only to see them and go, "Oh shit, we can't let that out."
Also, Papa Dutch says Trump isn't a leader; he's a blockage to the cankles.
Where's my Metamucil?
And then Papa Dutch also says, "I'd spend 1,000 just to get a good view." I'm trying to see what.
Burn, baby, burn.
Okay, and now we're catching up. Papa Dutch is really amazing today.
He's drunk.
He's saying, motorbikes like Lada, you don't want a clunko cycle, but a fast enduro bike is an alien thing.
Yeah. Now that people have heard that Ukrainians are looking for like motorbikes and stuff, don't start ordering those cheap Chinese things on Amazon and sending them over. Nobody wants that crap. It's gotta be a good one, right?
Send those to Russia, because for Russia it's a one-way trip.
Yeah. Donate 3-legged donkeys to Russia, but for Ukraine, we need Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki, KTM. You get the idea here, right?
Donkeys are actually very effective on the front line, and Russia doesn't deserve donkeys. Donkeys are better than Russia.
Donkeys are nice animals.
Yeah.
I did say 3-legged ones.
Even with 3 legs,
okay.
They're still better.
Okay. Shout out from over here. We got Stephen Walsh in again with a $26 Canadian donation in there. He says, "I wanted to share a channel at the Kitchen Cosmonaut. Did a fantastic tour of the Prevost Market." At the Kitchen Cosmonaut. Okay. I don't know that one. That's I'll check it out. I'll get the link out too for you there, Steve, so everybody can get it in the live chat. Awesome. Cool. See if I can figure this out. Go ahead there, Slavy. I'll find the link for everybody here.
Okay. Well, we have a good question to Commander McMillan from It Wasn't Me. Is it true that interception of Russian fighter jets only means they get accompanied by NATO jets in their air until they decide to fly away themselves?
Right. I mean, because the ROE right now, ROE is rules of engagement. The rules of engagement would say you cannot shoot at a Russian aircraft unless it shoots at you first. So the Russians, I'm presuming here, but this is an educated guess. They're doing these incursions into NATO airspace just to see how NATO reacts and to make us all nervous, so we spend more money, shoring up the NATO borders and less of that going straight to Ukraine.
Right.
So it's an effective form of economic warfare. I suppose that's the way you could interpret it.
Commander McMillan, do you ever see NATO taking preventative measures instead of just being purely, if attacked, we're defending ourselves?
Yeah, always reactionary.
Yeah.
Well, it's designed as that. The NATO alliance is a defensive alliance. It's not one where, for example, and I'm not saying they do this, but I'm just saying, for example, it's not an alliance where Poland decides it really doesn't like Belarus and attacks Belarus. You don't want to drag all of Europe into helping somebody in an aggressive war. It's a defensive alliance, and by its nature, that means they're going to be reacting to what the Russians do rather than being preemptive and saying, okay, the moment we see a Russian aircraft turning towards NATO airspace, we're going to shoot it down. No, we don't want to do that because that provokes a war, and that's not what NATO wants. It's not what it's structured for.
Mm-hmm.
It's a combined cooperative defense treaty, and that's what it does. So yeah, you're not going to see NATO starting to get preemptive. It's just not in its nature.
Guess only in my dreams.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Next question we have from Broadcast Cat. NATO Article 6, an armed attack is covered if it occurs in Europe or North America.
Again, an armed attack
Okay.
Is covered.
That sounds like Article 5. Yeah, but again, notice the terminology. Armed attack. That means the Russians would have to be firing on something in NATO or North American territory. Thus far, they've not done that. They've intruded across the border, but it hasn't been a demonstrably hostile action. And I know we can quibble over the definition there, but the way the alliance structure works is the Russian MiGs that intruded over your Estonian airspace, unless they actually shot at an oil platform or a ship or an airplane or something, they're not committing a hostile action. So we being NATO, are within our rights to say, hi, notice we are right behind you with our missiles armed at you, but we're not shooting. We're asking you politely, go away. That's what NATO does.
Gotcha.
So I'm looking it up. NATO Article 6 defines the geographical scope of the Article 5, basically. So it's just specifying that armed attack triggering mutual defense must occur in Europe, North America, on the Algerian Department of France, on the territory of Turkey, on the islands in the North Atlantic, Tropic of Cancer, or on the forces or vessels of the party in these regions of the Mediterranean Sea. So that's just an expansion of the Article 5.
I strongly suspect that the mention of Algeria being a department of France's legacy from when it was. It's no longer. Algeria is an independent country, and I'm sure that, that's not covered by the treaty any longer.
Possibly.
Next question we have from Tim Moments. Did any of the panel followed up on the Brave One Tech Valley? I did not. I don't know.
Brave One Tech Valley?
Yeah, I'm not
I'm sorry, I have no idea what that is.
I think maybe, I don't, my guess is maybe a Ukrainian tech expo. Let us know, Tim.
Yeah, it was some kind of defense expo.
Yep.
I think it was in Lviv. And it's basically second edition of Europe's flagship dual-use tech investment summit.
My Google search tells me it's apartments in Massachusetts.
So it happened, it's just concluded. It was on September 16th, 17th in Lviv, just 2 days ago. And it was 5,000 tech users, developers, and decision makers from 40 countries, just talking about the battle-proven innovations and shaping the future of global defense. I did not follow on that. I have no idea.
I was aware there was a meeting of that sort taking place, but I have not been monitoring what it does. And I didn't know that was the main thing.
It's a good thing that it's happening, and Ukraine seems to be at the forefront of the global defense conversation.
Yeah, I will say this, that eventually, once the war concludes, Ukraine is going to be able to make a lot of money selling technology to Western countries who want to improve their own militaries. They are so far ahead of everybody in terms of drone tech right now.
Yeah, and all the strategy and stuff that goes along with it and whatnot. Yeah.
Battle tested.
Mm-hmm.
Well, next question is great. Something that needs to be talked about. It's from It Wasn't Me, asking, could you please discuss the consequences of the U.S. lifting sanctions on the Belarusian airline for Russia?
I didn't. Wow, I didn't even know that. Jesus Christ.
I think it got Trump lifted it last week, I believe.
I don't know that Belarusian Airlines is, that big a money producer, but okay.
Well, it's a way to get whatever Russia needs to kind of evade the sanctions.
Well, yeah.
So whatever Russia needs is
if you're able to fly, Belarusian Aeroflot in to bring stuff that you buy from the West in a cargo plane, it's not going to get inspected and fined, prevented from flying because it's now no longer sanctioned.
Yeah.
I'm sure that relaxing that particular sanction, there's some sort of financial quid pro quo occurring to a certain orange tinted bank account.
Yeah. Exactly.
Some crypto probably. Coins.
Oh no, never happened.
I have a little bit of a fun news article if you want me to read it really quick. It's about Russia. Commander Macmillan was talking about it when Russia sold S-400 systems, anti-air defense systems, to Turkey. Last week, Russia offered to buy them back. And this is according, This is according to the Turkish resource Nefes. They want to buy back the C-400 type anti-aircraft missile system that were sold to Turkey several years ago. Ankara, capital of Turkey, for its part, is also ready to discuss this issue as it wants to achieve the lifting of American sanctions that followed Turkey's purchase of C-400 or S-400 as it's called in Ruski language. Moscow explains the desire to buy back these systems so they will resell them to other countries and make maybe more money.
They won't use them themselves.
No
they
sense.
would never do
Exactly. But according to experts, and hopefully Commander Macmillan can chime in on that, Moscow actually is running out of anti-air defenses due to what Ukraine is doing, and they just need them really badly on the battlefronts.
Yeah. The word desperately, I think, would be the one I would apply.
How desperate do you have to be?
And this gets into a really messy situation because the Turks bought the S-400 because we wouldn't sell them Patriot, I think, or maybe it was the F-35. I don't remember the exact thing that caused it. And then we got mad at the Turks, so we applied sanctions on them because they bought a Russian system. And now the Turks want to get rid of that so they can get those sanctions lifted so they can buy certain systems back. And Turkey's really less concerned about what's going on with, Russia and Ukraine than they are with their own situation vis-a-vis Greece.
Right.
So it's a very messy set of equations of what should be done and who should do it. And
I didn't know that America imposed sanctions on Turkey for purchasing S-400. But that's good, I guess.
Yeah. It wasn't a sanction per se, I suppose, but it was, okay, because you've bought the S-400, we're not going to sell you the following military systems because we're concerned that then you would leak information about them to the Russians. What it really is no, we're just punishing you for buying a Russian system.
Yeah. Just to quickly get in, it's 10 minutes until 2:00 Pacific time here. So we've got 10 minutes.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, exactly. We've got 10-minute warning here. Okay.
Well, we
The
have a couple.
carriage is gonna turn into a pumpkin.
My dog might.
Yeah. So a couple more questions then, and then we'll just do thoughts and wrap-ups, I guess.
Sure. Next up is a question from the real Vladimir Putin. Whatever happened to UN peacekeeping forces? I'm laughing because useless.
You need to understand the difference between peacekeeping, peace enforcement, and I can't remember the term, but it's basically brokering a peace. So UN is not going to send in peacekeepers until peace is in effect. And before they send in peacekeepers, they need to ensure that both sides are honoring whatever the arrangement that was made that brought peace. That's peace enforcement. And I think peace enforcement would be important because in this situation, because let's assume that part of the deal that's arranged is, Russia vacates, let's say, Donetsk. And I know that they're going to be stay behind Russian special operations forces that are going to be staging attacks. So peace enforcement is preventing those attacks from occurring. And only once things are totally secure can you bring in the peacekeepers. And each nation that participates in these operations brings certain things to the table. So a country like, let's say, I'm just pulling this out of my stinky hole. Let's say Ecuador decides they want to be peacekeepers. Okay. They're not able to necessarily be peace enforcers. So you have to get a country that's got the technology and the training with their military forces to be able to do that. So somebody like, say, Canada. Canada's got people that are trained for that level of operation. So before the Ecuadorians can come in, the Canadians need to come in. And
we hear up in our news, we always hear Canadian peacekeepers, Canadian peace. We've done a lot of that. Yeah.
And I'll be honest. When I was at Staff and Command College, the Canadians were always held up as like the pinnacle of peacekeeping and peace enforcement forces.
And being able to drink at night.
Huh?
And being able to drink at night.
Well, yeah, but that's the whole point I'm trying to get at here. Is certain countries bring certain things to the table. So unless you can get enough people who are competent at peace enforcement to come in, you're not going to get any peacekeepers coming in. It's a very complex timeline before those kind of things can be put into effect. That's all I can really say to them.
Big shout out here before we do the next one. We still got a couple of minutes. We got YOLO Swaggins in the live chat there with a big boom, $100 direct donation in for the Car for Ukraine Fund. All right. Huge thanks, YOLO. Thank you very much. Have a couple of more sound effects on me. Very cool. Nice. I'll put that into the fund right away here.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Then we have another question from S. Walshcomer. And is it time to revise NATO charters to accommodate the abusiveness of the terrorists? Last year, China and Russia had a joint flotilla to Alaska, plus jets. So when?
It's the best way I can put this is NATO is a fragile alliance. And people don't really understand or appreciate that. And it's able to hold together because everybody in the alliance can look at the situation as governed by the charter right now, which is, collective defense. If an attack on one is an attack on others, everybody comes to my aid. The moment you start tweaking that into a more active role, then you're going to start getting people to say, no, this isn't an alliance I want to be part of anymore. And then it becomes a much more precarious situation for everybody. So yeah, it'd be nice to have NATO sit down and decide, okay, once you've crossed the line of X type or number of, excuse me, humanitarian transgressions, okay, you're killing widows and orphans or something, that means we can intervene. It'd be nice if you could put that in effect, but the reality is a lot of countries would balk at that and say, if that goes into the NATO charter, I'm not going to say part of NATO anymore.
Right.
And the more countries that drop out of NATO, the less robust and effective NATO becomes.
Yeah. And in the modern era, now we've got the possibility of them going to the Legion of Doom and the BRICS thing and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Seems like
I mean,
NATO is only good for when your country is not being attacked or under any danger. But when your country, even if it's part of NATO, is in danger, NATO is like,
That's
No, I mean, look at Estonia, for example. That's a perfect case in point. Who intercepted those Russian aircraft that intruded? Italians.
yeah.
And who directed those aircraft to do the intercept? Probably, I don't know, the last time when the drones crossed in, it was, I think, a Danish AWACS aircraft or something that did it. So the alliance works for what it's designed to do. And the sad reality for Ukraine is they weren't in the alliance when this started.
Yeah.
And I think you could say many, perhaps most, but certainly not all, NATO members right now would love to be able to extend NATO protections to Ukraine.
Right.
But they can't do so without jeopardizing the existence of the alliance, because other countries would say, sorry, I don't want to get involved in this mess. You guys aren't doing what I want anymore.
Right.
also, another
NATO
good point last night is actually NATO needs Ukraine now because Ukraine has a battle-tested army. They have the tech, they have the drones. So things are switching around. NATO needs Ukraine probably
Absolutely.
more.
And I think it even goes further than that. It goes into a position of, if you are going to have an aggressive Russia, then having Ukraine as a NATO member puts you in a position where NATO now poses a greater threat to Russia, so that if they actually trigger a NATO response, they've kind of already lost the war before it even begins.
Mm.
Do you see what my logic is there?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I agree that Ukraine being part of NATO is probably more beneficial to NATO than them not being part of NATO.
Mm-hmm.
But it's getting them in, given the current context of the world situation.
Slavi, any shout outs you need to do? We're just hitting the 2 o'clock mark.
I do.
Figured.
Papa Dutch comes in with a super chat saying, a bike has enough problems without two guys riding double in full gear.
Hmm?
Even one guy in full gear might.
Yeah.
Another one
I think last time I heard it, the average U.S. soldier's combat loadout is 80 pounds.
Holy.
Yeah. Now put that in addition to the guy's body weight.
Yeah.
on an average bicycle as opposed to something specifically designed for military use, you can see the problems are going to develop pretty quick.
Yeah. You'd almost need to redesign the motorcycle so that you could sit a lot lower to keep that center of gravity down so it's a more stable thing to ride on, right?
Yeah.
You know the image I have in my mind? There's like a motorcycle and there's like a, a sidecar that you can like clip on the motorcycle.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it just sits
You
there.
go look at pictures from World War II with the German army. They had lots of motorcycles. It was a very effective
Yeah.
means of transportation for like couriers or reconnaissance units, that kind of thing.
We have another super chat from Papa Dutch saying, so a drone crashing in Poland and destroying a home, even if not armed, is not an attack. Marvelous, he says. He states drilly.
Poland could
agree
have
with you.
classified it as an attack and asked for an Article 5 as opposed to an Article 4. They didn't.
Yeah.
That tells you all you need to know about the situation.
Yeah. People are very scared to be the one to do it.
They are deathly afraid of World War III breaking out.
Yeah.
By the way,
Because everybody knows what Russian doctrine is.
Yeah.
Russia has been threatening Poland's insane. I mean, nuclear threats. There's also something like wild, like they said, at least Ukrainians are our people. Poles, not our people. So imagine what we're gonna do to them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh,
Yeah, I've heard that.
Somebody's coming down the stairs. I can hear that somebody in the house here with me knows it's 2:00 and our time is up. Yeah, we better kick in. So let's let Slavy finish any
Bucky's
shout
in
outs
here
and stuff.
staring
And,
at me too.
yeah, exactly. We're under the wire here.
Yeah. Then S. Walshcomer saying, but there were armed attacks on NATO, threat of terrorism. In the early 2000s, all those things were met to activate NATO. After 9/11 attack, United States activated, the only time it was ever activated, Article 5.
Yep.
And then Papa Dutch saying, study this. Russia cannot nuke Ukraine. They can't.
Why?
I agree. I think, I mean, if Russia nukes anyone or anything, they're done. They're too done for. And I mean,
I agree.
nobody
I'm
has
sure
to
that
nuke
NATO
Russia
is,
back.
has,
All-
yeah,
so
I'm
all
sure
it-
that NATO through back channel communications told the Russians point blank, if you cross the nuclear threshold in
You're done.
Ukraine, all bets are off.
Yeah.
And
I
and,
also
and
heard
the
that
West
China was.
and the West doesn't even need to nuke Russia back. They have two cities, Moscow and St. Petersburg, to get rid of most of their just.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of missiles, big ones, but
Yeah.
I heard that China was also telling Russia when Russia was talking about this potentially nuking Ukraine. China was telling Russia not to do it for their own reasons.
Makes sense. You know. Any last ones there, Slavy?
no, that was it for me for now.
Okay.
Thank you all so much, by the way. That was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're caught up here. So I want to just take us around. We'll say our goodbyes and hit some buttons.
Yeah, for sure. Commander Macmillan, any final thoughts on this past week's events?
Not really. I think we've covered a lot of, the Ukraine events that we need to. I would say that in the coming week, I would look for the possibility of further Russian probes, be it drones, aircraft, what have you, ships violating NATO territorial waters, who knows. I think this is all an effort on Russia's part to make NATO and Europe look at their own situation rather than at the Ukraine situation. And this is fairly effective without a huge amount of risk for the Russians to pursue. So I think that's what you should watch out for. Other than that, my usual wrap up, urging people to keep communicating with your elected officials. Tell them that the situation in Ukraine is important to you and you want aid to continue flowing.
Damn right.
Other than that, have a great week.
Great. Thank you so much, Commander. And Johnny, any final thoughts on this past week's events?
The week was just full of just awesome things that Ukraine did on the battlefield and just strategically all around Russia. The world is kind of waking up. But my favorite thing that happened this week comes from a Russian meal blogger, Maxim Kalashnikov. As far as Russian meal bloggers go, he's like the worst. He's just a horrible human being, if he can even be called that. However, this week he looked in a camera and he said the following thing. Unfortunately, we have to admit that we won't be able to adjoin Ukraine to our territory. He had a very sad face when he said this. Reasons: Russia doesn't have enough force to conquer or subjugate Ukraine. He was almost crying. And Russians need to come to the terms that Ukraine will exist as an independent state and Ukrainians will remain Ukrainians. So that's just amazing. And more power to you, Maxim Kalashnikov. Keep spreading the good word, keep spreading the good message. And Ukraine will be Ukraine. And I think that's awesome that we're raising money for that car. Let's keep doing that, and let's do that. Thank you, guys.
Cool.
Thanks. I'll shorten my conclusion, but
It's all right.
no, for Papa Dutch, another last super chat coming through, asking how much does Putin have to do with Trump versus Argentina? Not sure. Anyways, thank you so much,
I'm
Papa
not
Dutch.
touching that one.
Yeah.
That's an entire separate show from Ukraine updates.
Yeah, I'd say. But this week reminds us that while Ukraine dismantles Russia's war machine refinery by refinery, drone by drone, NATO's line in the sand may be getting brighter, hopefully. The danger isn't just in the missiles, it's in the letting 19 drones in Poland and 3 hypersonic MiGs over Estonia feel normal. The danger is pretending this war stops at Ukraine's border. But conversations like today cut through that noise. This fight is bigger than maps. It's about the truth we defend. It's about the freedoms we refuse to lose. And it's about the future we will not hand over to dictators. So if you're here, you're already part of that fight. Please don't forget to subscribe to all of our channels. If you're new here, like the streams, like all our content, and share it. Subscribe. And to everyone in the live chat, you guys are incredible. Thank you so much to all the super chats. Mods, you guys came through. There's a bunch of you. Thank you so much for helping with all the questions. And I feel really, really lucky to have all of you come out and watch this the streams. And also, thank you so much for donating to Ukrainian charities for the cars. Very, very important. And simply showing up week after week. Thank you. You're not just watching live streams. You're helping truth win. You're helping Ukraine win. So we'll see you next time right here where the truth gets the last word. And don't forget to be brave like Ukraine. On that note, God bless America and Slava Ukraini.
Heroam Slava.
And Slava.
It's over. Go home. Go.